We are here at Business Community Support, our weekly program that we've been doing here for several months now. And we've got an excellent program going on today because we're going to be talking about retail. And we've got Chad Schaeffer and Vickie Reeck from the city that'll be talking about the Corridor Plaza. They're our guest speakers. I'm Cheryl O'Hearn. I'm with Spin Market Plus Digital, and I am stepping in today for Jed Burns, the general manager of Alpha Media here in Fort Dodge, as he was called out of town. We'll also have Chris Patrick on with Main Street Fort Dodge. And there she is. Yay, Chris. Thanks for joining.
Good morning.
Morning.
Thank you, Cheryl. Good morning.
Yes, it's going to be a great show because we've got a lot of information out there, and retail has changed a lot over the last few years and probably even more dramatically in 2020. And so we're seeing a lot of new things. We've got some exciting things going on, not only out at the Crossroads Mall as well, but as down in the downtown area. So we're going to be talking about that with the retail end. I know, people... Change is difficult sometimes, but there's some exciting change going on, and we'll be hitting that subject as well. Chris, anything that you want to add before we bring our speakers on?
No, not yet. We're going to listen to everything about the mall, and I want to thank Chad and Vickie for allowing us to use the retail coach, which they're using out at the mall project to recruit businesses. And I've got some data that we'll share about the downtown today too.
Good. Well, and I think there's a lot of questions on the retail coach. I've had a lot of people ask, what is retail coach and who are they and what is it and what are they doing? And then, of course, how much are we spending with them, that type of thing coming up. So I'm sure Chad and Vickie will fill us in and give us some great information for our viewers out there. Again, this is seen live on Facebook Main Street Fort Dodge, as well as Alpha Media YouTube. If you are joining us today, you can hop on and put some comments in there, and we'll do our best to answer them for you. And if not answer them today, we'll get back to you as well if it's something that we need to check on or whatever it may be. So please feel free to put your comments on there. And that being said, we're going to bring Chad and Vickie on all at the same time and keep Chris on too. We're just going to be the four corners. It's kind of like, what is it called?
The Brady Bunch?
Pardon?
The Brady Bunch?
The Brady, well, the Brady Bunch. So who are you, Vickie, then, if we're the Brady Bunch?
Marsha.
Oh, I love it. Okay, this is going to be a good program. I can tell it already. All right, thank you. All right, so we have Vickie Reeck and Chad Schaeffer with the city of Fort Dodge. And Chad Schaeffer, I think your official title is CFO now?
CDO, so Chief Development.
Okay, and Vickie, what is your title now?
Community and Economic Development Director.
Okay, and I'm sure those are just a brief title as to exactly what you have to do is a lot broader than what's in those little titles there. So we're going to have some great conversation. So today we're going to talk, like I said, there's been a lot of questions, who is retail coach? So I know what retail coach is, but maybe you could give us a brief information as to who retail coach is and why we reached out to them and what they've been doing for us in about the last year and a half or so.
Yeah, so the retail coach is a company that we met probably about 2 years ago, and we really thought that we needed to step up our game as far as restaurant and retail recruitment went. The Growth Alliance over the years has done, such a great job of doing industrial recruiting, but that's not their strength or what they're going after only from a commercial standpoint. So we thought it was time for the city to step up and do some work to do some additional recruiting on the retail side. And we've been losing stores at the mall, Yonkers, JCPenney's, Sears, and all those, just like every other town across the country. But we thought it was time to kind of step up our game and try to do some recruitment. So yeah, we engaged with them. They're a company out of Mississippi, and we spend about $30,000 a year with them, and really just have a good relationship because they have the relationships with all the developers and the big box stores and that sort of thing. And basically what their job is to get us in touch with those folks and see how we can work together to bring some new entities to the city.
Right. And you brought up some great points. Even though we have the economic or the growth alliance there, you need to bring those other tools into it, because everybody's not an expert in every area, and retail is a whole different area of that has to be addressed. So bringing that in. Has Retail Coach seen any changes in the retail market as far as COVID, if any, since they started talking to you? And do they, maybe think that these changes are temporary or a permanent situation, or is becoming the norm, or what have they talked about that?
Yeah, so one of the services that the Retail Coach allows and provides to us is some data on a monthly basis. And basically what they're doing is using cell phone data. So, Big Brother is watching, whether you like it or not, but Big Brother is watching. And
a digital world we're in.
Yep. And so they're using a company to track cell phone data, and they basically create this imaginary fence around different businesses and that sort of thing. And once you go to, I'll say a Hy-Vee, for instance, you go onto their property or near their property, they know that you've been there, and now you're counted as a foot traffic. So so we have that data, and we have these areas built up all across the city, and so we get this information on a monthly basis. So some of the interesting things that we've seen, and this is data comparing August of 2019 to August of 2020. So like grocery stores, grocery is up 4%. Home improvement is up 5%. I think if you've probably been to Menards in Fort Dodge, you can probably see that the parking lot is full a lot of times. Obviously, with the pandemic, medical, health, pharmacies, those kinds of things, they're up almost 20%. Again, so I think people are trying to stay safe, be healthy as best they can. On the flip side, we've seen dining is down 7%. August. Shopping centers, going to the big box stores, that's down 15%. So, but that's both of those from a dining standpoint and a shopping center standpoint. Those numbers are the best that they've been since February. So it's starting to come back to whatever we might call normal. So,
sure.
There's been pretty significant declines, but those areas are coming back.
Right. Well, and of course, what you just described is called geofencing, and we do a lot of that too here at Spin Market, where we're really looking at pulling that data, which like described, and going from perception, what our perception of the situation is, and what the reality is, and being able to track that out there, and it's provides some very good data for you to make better plans and be more strategic on what you're doing with your developments, and even where you're placing buildings and different retail areas. So, and that's also what those same retail companies are asking or looking at when they're even, checking us out. So then what areas of retail are you seeing the most interest in our community, and based on our demographics?
So I just wanted to go back to March in 2019 when we first started working with the Retail Coach. We thought, let's see what the young folks are wanting to see in Fort Dodge for retail and restaurants. So Chad and I met with several classes out at St. Ed's and Fort Dodge Senior High, and we did a real scientific poll on what they'd like to see. Some of the results for restaurants, the top 5 were, of course, can you guess what the top one was? Anybody?
The top retail?
Top restaurant that they asked for.
Well, I would say Taco Tico, but we've already got a Taco Tico.
Well, number 1 was Chick-fil-A. Everybody wants Chick-fil-A. Yeah. And then Texas Roadhouse, Olive Garden, we've heard that forever. Panera, Panda Express, and for retail, we heard American Eagle, Shields, Best Buy, Bass Pro Shops, Dick's Sporting Goods. And what's interesting is once we engaged with the retail coach, they did what's called a gap analysis or a leakage analysis to see, okay, what are people leaving Fort Dodge to go by? And using this geofencing again, they could see and show us that we were losing, I think the number was like $55 million a year to people going to restaurants outside of Fort Dodge. To me, that was astounding.
Yes.
So that was telling us we don't have the options that people are looking for. So, perhaps that's where they need to put their efforts in recruitment. Electronics, we don't have an electronics store. So 13 million was going to other communities. Clothing and shoes, 16.5 million. And I think that's probably gone down even more since this data was collected because of the loss of Penny's and Yonkers. And sporting goods. We have 2 smaller sporting goods stores, but we don't have that large, Scheels or Dick's or any of those types of sporting goods stores. So it was kind of funny that the things that the kids wanted are the exact things that showed that we were leaking or gapping to other communities.
Right. Well, and if people are wondering, well, how were you able to track the people here to the other communities based on their when they've gone in with the geofencing? How that works is when they go in, their IP address is pulled. And so when they go to another store like that, they're able to pick up what their behaviors are and pull that data back in a very generic terminology as to that. So the data you have is very real. It's not just something that they put a hypothesis on that this is what's going on. It's actually taking that information of the people in our community and when they're going outside of the area and purchase to those stores and businesses.
Yeah, and when they're recruiting, there's very specific criteria that has to be met. Population criteria, demographic criteria. And so one thing I wanted to point out is since we're a regional hub, our population's around 26,000, but we've identified that our actual population of folks that are shopping here is about 105,000. So when the retail coach goes to recruit another business, they can say, well, we've got a population base of 105,000, which gets you a lot more than 26,000.
Sure. And that just goes because we are a rural area. People do travel. I mean, it's nothing unusual that you look in the parking lot and you'll see Kasuth County or Pocahontas County, all of those people. Some of them have traveled 45 minutes to an hour at least to get here to do their shopping, whatever it may be. So it does. We have a much larger area of land that goes into those demographics versus if you're in a Waukee or something of that type area where, of course, it's heavily populated and it's a different demographic situation.
So looking at the comments that are coming in, can either of you speak to how important making sure that we get information or polling information from different age groups, how the retail coach is really stressing that, and what those companies you're trying to recruit do with that information?
Yeah, I think there's, obviously there's, the different age groups have different disposable income. And so, when you look at, you see high school kids and they want certain things, you look at families, they're going to want a different type, maybe a little different type of restaurant or retail because they need kids clothes or they need toddler clothes or whatever it may be. You look at some older folks, the empty nesters, and, maybe that's a little more on the entertainment side or, social or something like that. So I think all of that information is vital to the retail coach and to all of us as we do that recruitment because, we're looking at a broad spectrum and we need to provide those restaurants and retail that, that works for everybody, not just one segment. So, we'll take comments and questions from anyone and all the time. That's the great part of being working for the government is we get to hear those comments all the time and we try to address them as best we can.
And I think today's teenager has a lot more spending money than even 5 and 10 years ago too. So as we're thinking about who's really spending their dollars in Fort Dodge, it's not just people that are over 21.
Right.
I can vouch
Right.
for
Yeah.
that. I have 2-year-olds.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean they have jobs, so they have their own little income, and again, when it goes to, this all kind of goes back into quality of life. Again, we're trying to recruit those employees to our community, and a metro area might have all those restaurants and all these fun things to do, but we need to provide those opportunities to those folks so that we can bring them in here to Fort Dodge and our region so that they can work in our companies and those businesses can grow.
Right. So is your information showing on how e-commerce will be impacting our retail or our future retail for the community? We all know that e-commerce is a big area with everybody shopping online. Are they saying anything that they're seeing that are the businesses, the retail businesses, saying to them that maybe they're going with a smaller actual square footage area because they're also looking at online or whatever it may be?
Yeah, this is a topic that's been, from us and with the retail coach, we talk about all the time. And, what's going on the e-commerce side. Really what we're hearing from the retail coach is this is really just an integration of online shopping and bricks and mortar stores. People can do their online shopping, but they still want to have a shopping experience. They still want to go to a brick and mortar store to pick something up and see it and look at it and maybe try it on. They may order something and doesn't quite fit right or something, so they need to be able to return it. So, what we're hearing is that yes, e-commerce is growing every day, but there's still going to be that physical presence of a brick and mortar store somewhere, whether it's a distribution hub or fulfillment hub or something like that. But there's still that combination of both is going to exist, and we don't see that brick and mortar is going to go away, anytime soon.
Right. And I totally agree with that. They each have their own place. I mean, sometimes at 2:00 in the morning, if you need to order something, you can get online and do it. But you do still like that experience of being able to go in and shop and look at different things. And I hear that frequently from clients too, that people are missing actually the shopping experience and enjoying going out and doing that.
Yeah. Especially over the last 6 months.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I think we're going to see.
Last 6 months, they want to be able to go out and get out of their house and do things, and I think that trend is going to come back as we come out of this pandemic. But those retail stores, I think, as you pointed out when you kind of asked the question, those national brands, their stores are going to be smaller. That's a national trend, and I think the things that we're going to see. That are going to be built at the Corridor Plaza, I think they're going to see smaller footprints. They're not going to see those 30 and 50,000 square foot buildings. It's going to be 10 and 15,000 square foot.
Right on there. So that brings up an interesting comment too. Do you think we're going to see additional commercial space become available there? And are those commercial developers going to have to make some changes by maybe remodeling the areas into smaller spots in order to recruit those businesses?
Yeah, that's another topic that's throughout the country is what do you do with these big box stores? So I see those being condoed out into smaller stores. Adding more storefronts. Making those buildings, more inviting, because a lot of times they're just a big brick building. They're not really that inviting. So, what can you do to kind of spruce them up and, add some excitement to it, and then, have, what used to be one box store now becomes 4 smaller stores, and so, but still serve those same purposes. So, yeah, I think there's going to be a lot of change in that big box market.
Great. So has the retail coach said anything in regards to restaurant and the hospitality businesses? Or, what are they seeing? I know in the corridor area that we're talking about, the corridor the change on the Crossroads Mall, you have a lot of incorporation of hospitality. I think there's a motel that's been discussed, as well as different restaurants and that type of thing. What are they seeing in that demographic?
I think as far as restaurants and hospitality, we're never going to see those go strictly online because people want to go out and eat. It's more of an entertainment factor. I think that's kind of the trend is people are looking more towards a fast casual dining, more of an experience, maybe looking for some healthier choices. Obviously right now the restaurant and hospitality is down because of COVID, but I think like Chad said, people have been locked up for 6 months. Once we open back up, I think you're going to see a real surge in those types of businesses. And
I think
the more variety we can provide, the better off we'll be.
And I think you brought up a great comment there, Vickie. They're looking for that experience. They're, the day, I know Chick-fil-A is one of your top ones that the kids want in, but the drive-through is fine for those type of things, but people are looking for that experience of trying some different things and healthier menus and that type of stuff out there.
Yeah, and I wasn't sure what a fast casual actually meant, so I Googled it. And in the top 40, there are things like Noodles and Company, Panda Express, Panera Bread, Smash Burger, Five Guys, those types of restaurants. So, I mean, they still seem to me kind of like a fast food, but maybe just a little bit more of an experience.
Right. Well, if we could bring a Panera into Fort Dodge, you would make my husband extremely happy because that's his favorite. That and Olive Garden are his favorites. So it would make him extremely happy if you could do that. So yeah, that's really interesting. So let's talk a little bit about the corridor out there. If you can give us some updates, we will tell everybody that next Thursday, Ben Garrett will be on as well, talking about that area a little bit more with the DCI group. But where are we at? There was an article in the paper today about Unity Point and breaking ground for that. And I think there's a tire store that's already broke ground. Am I right? And maybe you can fill us in a little bit.
Yeah. So, there's been a lot of planning going on, a lot of negotiations going on, over the last 6 months or so since those plans have kind of, come out and been in the newspaper and that sort of thing, showing how this whole area could redevelop. And they've branded it now as the Corridor Plaza, which I think is pretty cool. Kind of ties into what we've been trying to do on Fifth Avenue South for about a decade now and calling that the Corridor of Commerce. So it ties right into that. But yeah, they started demolition of a parking lot this week. There's a huge pile of concrete and rubble in the southwest corner of First Avenue South and 29th Street. So for somebody like me on the engineering side, that's kind of fun to see. Maybe probably doesn't make as interesting to everybody else, but the project is starting. And so, yeah, we've had site plans being submitted and the announcement for Unity Point's clinic to go there along First Avenue South. So that's exciting that it's always tough to get the first person to jump in and to build something. And so I think we got the ball rolling here with Unity Point. We've also had site plan submitted with Discount Tire. They would be on the other side. They'd be down there on Fifth Avenue South, directly behind K Jewelers. And you've seen Rash Construction out there, again, removing pavement and removing the old loading dock from the Sears store. So I think they're getting too close to putting some footings in the ground. So yeah, I think you're going to see a lot of things going on there throughout the fall. From a construction standpoint, demolition, you're going to see the Yonkers building, or at least portions of it, coming down. You're going to see JCPenney's building coming down. So there's just going to be a lot of activity there, over the next several months as we go into the winter. But the one thing that we want to make sure that everybody understands is that the core part of the mall is still open. Those stores are still there. There is fencing all the way around the perimeter, with chain link fence and that sort of thing. But the core stores in the mall are still there. They're still open. and we want people to shop. So we don't want people to forget that.
Right. And that's what I tried to allude to a little bit before, that change sometimes is difficult. And that's a perfect example of a situation that there's no easy way when you're trying to do a demo out there, that you have to have the fencing there and to protect everybody, but yet trying to take care of those businesses internally as well while it goes on. So we just need to ask everybody patience out there in the public, and just say, hey, in the long run, it's going to be a great situation when it's done. But right now we have to go through the dirty before we get to the pretty.
Very much so.
The developer's working well with the existing tenants, trying to make sure that they have a space during all this construction, that they're not, expected to move and then move back. They're going to keep the location until something new is built for them or remodeled or whatever. So I think they have a good relationship going there.
Good. That's nice to hear. And I know the public wants to hear that too. So I'm glad you brought that point up.
So
other, pardon?
We can't lose Bath and Body. That's all I know.
Just Bath and Body. How many years? I think they are one of the longest running ones that's in there right now, probably with the other stores.
If you lose a store, it's pretty unlikely that you're going to get it back. So we need to keep these core stores that we have during the construction.
And I think that brings a good point up. The stores that are left in there are very much niche stores. Bath and Body I would qualify that as being that. So they're ones that always are bringing that attraction in, because they have that special market that they're going for, and those are the ones that are your cornerstone. Those are the ones that are going to bring in that regular traffic for you, because somebody has to get a new candle every season, right? Or check out the new scents from Bath and Body.
Absolutely.
So what else? We've covered a lot of different topics here today. What else are we looking at for the future there? Is there anything that we need to pass on to the communities, or anything at all that maybe that we haven't covered yet that you want to make sure that everybody knows about?
Just from the Corridor Plaza standpoint, I think there's, we want to again create some sort of experience there. So it's not only restaurants, shopping, but is there a way to create some entertainment there or some nightlife there in that area as well? And so, I see the drawing coming up here that kind of looks at a bird's eye view of what this area could look like, but kind of in that center space is, how do we activate that so that it's not just, shopping at night, or it's not just shopping on Saturdays and Sundays, but, how can we energize that space for, the lunch crowd? How can we energize that space for the evening crowd and some entertainment? And, looking at, a lot of different topics are kicked around, like a food truck court would be one of them. We have several businesses around the community that that do that food truck thing, and how could we create a food truck court so they could come in a couple times a week or whatever it might be, and serve that that business crowd, or that lunch crowd, or whatever it might be. So looking at different ideas like that of how to energize the space, also looking at kind of that, again, quality of life, live, work, play kind of thing. Is there some opportunities for mixed use on this site where you could have some office space or entertainment, but also have living space, so upper story apartments or something like that. So again, maybe that entices maybe that younger generation, or those 20 somethings or something like that to live there because of the entertainment, but it also might be, on the other side, it might be that empty nester that's, tired of mowing their lawn and shoveling snow, and want somebody else to do that for them. And they want more of the social aspect. So is there an opportunity to bring living space into this area too? So just a number of different things being talked about, and, we'll see where we go as we continue with development.
Well, and I think you bring up a really good topic there, Chad, in that what you're talking about there are some opportunities for a smaller business,
Mhm.
a pop-up type of thing out there in a social area. So while we've been talking a lot about some bigger businesses coming in, that incorporates that whole different demographic of businesses and small business owners that possibly could really benefit from that. And talking about uh, truck, a food truck area that's been very popular in some of the bigger cities.
Mhm.
And it's basically a pop-up type of a thing. And somebody, you just schedule a day that they're going to be there, and it brings in a whole different population. So I think that's an important part that we need to get out to the public, is it's not going to be just bringing in those type of businesses, but it also gives opportunities to our other smaller businesses that, or people that are thinking about doing something, knowing that, hey, in the future, I may be able to grow my business by being in that area.
Right.
Yeah, if we, another thing, if we could create some space in there that, a sharing space or a maker space or whatever you might want to call it, so that could be rented out for, somebody that's trying to start a bakery, or somebody who's trying to start a cupcake business, or trying to, do some cooking for a large family event, or whatever it might be, that commercial kitchen opportunity. So, there's lots of different opportunities there, and we want to kind of kick the can and see what we can, what could happen out there.
And I've always been an advocate for an incubator type of a facility in our community that could be incorporated possibly with our community college as well, and put those kind of commercial facilities in for a small business getting started, because they can only do so much at home and that. So you really had another good point, Chad. How about you, Vickie? Anything else that you would like to add to the information out there and make sure that we let the public know about?
I guess nothing in particular, just that, malls are closing nationwide, and there has to be something special or something extra, that wow factor, to get people to support those areas. They can no longer survive as they have in the past. And so that's why we're looking at, diversification or mixed use, and, everything's not reliant on one store, if JCPenney's closes, we're all done. It's relying on several different aspects and different uses across the board. So, yeah.
I think that's a really good point, Vickie. And in the long run, I see it as a huge benefit for us because of the diversity of the different type of businesses that we're going to be able to bring in, and the more they see that happening here, it's what I call the snowball effect. It starts out as a little snowball, and then by the time it's at the end, it's an avalanche, because people start seeing what's happening, and that creativity starts going in those small businesses, or the large businesses start looking, hey, I saw this happening there. Looks like a great opportunity for us, and it just grows from that.
Yeah, and people are already looking at Fort Dodge and saying, what are you doing with your mall? We've had other communities asking, what's going on with your mall, and so we're getting noticed.
Good. So that brings up another good point. We're planning on, this has been a successful project with us. We had no idea where we were going to go with this Thursday morning, 9 o'clock program. But what we need to do is bring you guys on very regularly to give us updates of what's going on in the community on this project, especially. So we can talk about that more. And I see you have a visitor in the back, Chad.
I do. I see my dog just hopped up behind me, so coming to visit me.
I love it. Well, mine's sitting down here beside me by my desk here at the office too, and she's being really good for once. Chris, do you have anything else any questions for Vickie or Chad, or else we can also go into downtown, which I would still like Vickie and Chad to stay on, because they're very integral in that downtown project as well.
Oh, they are. I work with the business and engineering department on a daily basis, thanks to Vickie for the community development block grant. And that is the facade project that everybody's talking about here downtown. But really looking at retail, it is that experiential experience, making sure that no matter what size your community is, if shopping isn't fun, now that there's so many online resources, people are not going to do it. So that is what we're really stressing here in the downtown. Some of the comments we've gotten are, well, if the mall's strong, well, that means downtown is going to disappear. And that is so not the case. The city is backing Main Street for Dodge and all the things that we're doing to promote the downtown retailers and service businesses. Again, we have 167 active businesses right now in the downtown. And the stronger we are, the stronger the mall project's going to be, and vice versa. The stronger and more interesting things get out in the Corridor Plaza, you're going to see that trickle effect down First Avenue North or First Avenue South into the downtown. And being able to utilize the retail coach is helping us. So we have a few trends I wanted to share with everybody today from the retail coach. So again, looking from 2019 stats to that 2020 stat, in February, we were up 17% over last February of foot traffic in the downtown. Doesn't sound like a lot, but it's definitely an upward trend. Unfortunately, then in March, we saw everything begin to decline, except in the library, we still had a 40% increase over last year for users in the library itself. We started to pick back up here in the downtown. After that, we were at just an 11% decrease in July. But now that everybody's back in their regular schedule, most people are back to work, the kids are back in school in one form or another, we're seeing a dramatic drop in retail shopping in August. It went from 11% in July down to 55% decline from last year. And so that's really telling us that people are getting back to work. They're having more bills to pay. They're not really thinking about that small retailer that they were definitely trying to support over the last 4 or 5 months. So we just want to make sure that people are reminded that maybe it's not a large amount of money that you're spending, but that you can support that retailer. And especially through online shopping and curbside pickup, online shopping and to your door delivery. All of those options are available from our retailers in the downtown. Hoping to see those numbers come up a little bit when we look at the September reports. Another thing I thought was interesting that along First Avenue South, we're continuing to see a bit of a downward trend. But then along First Avenue North, remember that's just 2 blocks away, we went up, 22%. So we're 22% higher than we were last year at this time for foot traffic in the downtown. So you can extrapolate that maybe part of that's that businesses are reopening. We did have some new businesses come downtown. We had 2 different beauty salons from the mall come back downtown, along with the Fish Room, which was located at the mall for about 1.5 years. And they're back downtown. They have a large following, and they're on Central Avenue, not too far from the core. And then, like I said about the library, just the fact that they were up so high over last year before they had to close their doors in April. As far as the regular retailers that we poll and talk to pretty much on a weekly basis, they are seeing some of that retail come up, but they're still down close to 50% overall from their income from last year. We have Dungeons and Dodgers that have seen a resurgence in clients coming in. A lot of that is online sales, pick up at the door kind of format for him. Rush Hour Clothing is operating the same way. And then Real Deals on Home Decor, owned by Morgan Fitzgerald, is really pushing their online sales. And I think she's seeing a dramatic increase from that. So as we've been saying, Cheryl, for months and months, it's all about that digital presence. Make sure that you're utilizing your Facebook or other social media channels through direct sales and not just post a picture and don't give a price. Make sure that there's some call to action on every single thing you do as a business to make sure you're getting your bang for your buck.
Right.
Because time is money, right?
Exactly. Well, and then that's where Google My Business comes in. know, that's a free service for you guys to use, as well as the Shop Iowa, which program that's going on as well. So those are additional ones, and you can always get a hold of Chris to talk about them, as well as myself, and I'm sure Vickie and Chad run into that as well on their conversations. So there's a lot of positive in our community, and we want everybody to be watching what's going on. The numbers from the retail coach are very interesting, and again, I can't stress enough about how important that is for us to be looking at those numbers and understanding how that plays into part of the strategic planning of what we're doing for retail in our community. And it takes, again, as I tell my clients all the time, takes away the perception and puts in the reality of what's going on, and gives you a better way to plan, better way to use your resources, both financially and as well as employee-wise, and make some better decisions going forward and plan for the future. I'm sure everybody's had enough of 2020. And we're looking at 2021 as a much more positive year coming forward. And we've brought up a lot of positive comments here today. Well, everyone, we have gone into over almost a 45-minute program already today. Is there anything else in closing that we haven't covered that you would like to one more time say here before we leave? Again, we want everybody to know this is going to stay on the internet, and people can be watching it in the future. And we see a huge growth in the next couple of days with our coverage on this. Anything at all?
I have one thing. We do have the Small Business Administration is offering a free service to all businesses, small businesses, not just in the Main Street District, where their staff will come in. That would be Kimberly Tiefenthaler through Small Business Development Center, and actually take pictures and get those businesses up on shopiowa.com. So that is a new element to help those business owners utilize that free service. So something that I didn't know until Tuesday. So if you are interested in that, give me a call or reach out to Kimberly Tiefenthaler.
Great. And that's huge. And I know a lot of people have not done it because they're a little intimidated by going online and think it's a daunting task, but it's not as bad as what it looks like. But again, Google My Business. It's free, guys. You can do it. And if you have questions, give me a call. Well, I want to do a special thank you to Vickie and Chad. Thank you for coming on this morning and joining us and giving us this time. A lot of great information there. I've had some really good comments going forward. And if there are any questions going forward, we'll make sure you guys get them if there's, to answer them back and follow up on it. Again, thank you to everybody. We're going to talk next week to Ben with the DCI group, which will be kind of a follow-up a little bit on what we talked about today. And you will love Margie. Margie was in my Goldman Sachs Cohort 2 program last year, and I met her at Farm. She's runs Farm Her. She'll be talking on the agricultural end with us next Thursday. And you will just find her very refreshing and exciting. And she always has a great story to tell. And when I told my husband that was who was in my class, he goes, "Oh, I see her on rural TV all the time." So even he knew who she was, which, that he likes those tractor shows, guys. Everybody. Give him a, I'm going to put a funny thing in there. All I hear on the video is this roaring tractors all the time because he's always doing tractor pulls or seeing somebody pull somebody out of something. That's what he watches the video. Okay, well, before I get myself in trouble at home, I'm going to call it quits for the day. Thank you very much. And hopefully Jed will be able to join us again next week. And we can't wait to get Kimberly back on here after she's moved. So again, Vickie and Chad, thank you very much. Chris, thank you. This program is always put together every week with Jed Burns, with the market manager at Alpha Media, Kimberly Tiefenthaler with Small Business Development Center, Chris Patrick, the Executive Director at Main Street, and myself, Cheryl O'Hearn, Marketing Director here at Spin Market. Until next Thursday at 9 a.m., we thank you and have a great week.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks.